So please note, Brigadier Gininda, when you adjourned, you were trying to decipher the number that appears on Exhibit J1.
Yes, my lord.
Are you able to read the number now?
Correct, my lord. It's 27. I'll read it as it's contained here. It's 2772938248.
And
Okay. Must I repeat it? It's 2772938248.
Numbers in number lena 2772938248.
are you able to recognize that number?
Yes, my lord. That is the number that belongs to Miss Kelly Kumalo, the one that was reported as being taken by the perpetrators during this incident.
Yebo ngiyazi le number inumber kaKelly Khumalo le ayibikiwe njenge number eyayithathwe yilabo ababehlasela.
You mentioned earlier on in your evidence that this very same number pick up Muleleki Tower. Are you able to find that information on Exhibit J1?
That is correct, my lord. It did pick it up indeed. The time is 21:52, and the date is 26 October 2014, and the tower is 3G Muleleki.
Yebo iyaqhumana ne-tower lena imleleki ngoba isikhathi sika 21:52 okusho ukuthi ke 8 minutes to 10 ya ngomhla ka 26 October 2014 iyahlangana iyaqhumana le phone ngale nale tower le umluleki i-3G umluleki tower.
And my lord, at this time, this is where the people who were in the house, including Mr. Longwe Twala, were at the clinics. They were picked up by that tower. So he was there. And in addition to that, I know we're still going there. The vehicle tracking system places him there as well, at the clinic.
But ngaleso sikhathi ke le number lena iyabonana ngaleso sikhathi ese clinic ngoba ngaleso sikhathi bonke labo besinde babese clinic.
Thank you, Brigadier. You said the cell phone information on the robbed phone was one of the factors that informed you that there were intruders. Were there any other factors that informed your view that there were intruders?
Khona yini okunye okuholela ekutheni ucabanga ukuthi babe khona abahlaseli?
That's correct, my lord. So the second thing that I looked at was the DNA, because the DNA.
Okunye ke engakubheka ulibofuzo i-DNA.
Because it was alleged, my lord, or rather it was contained in the statements that the perpetrators left a head, which through the DNA analysis, a mixed DNA was established, was found in that head.
Uthola laba babengenile lapho bashiya isigqoko lapho kuleso sigqoko kwatholakala ulibofuzo olohlukile.
Now, my lord, I checked that DNA that was found in comparison with the DNA of everyone who was inside the house.
Ngahlo zama ke ukukhathanisa lelo libofuzo ebuleso sigqokweni nalo abantu ababengaphakathi endlini.
And what I found was that the DNA of everyone who was inside the house was excluded from the DNA found on the head, meaning the donor or the contributor of the DNA on the head was not any of the people who was inside the house.
Ngakuthola ukuthi ulibofuzo lalo orathola esigqokweni liyabakhipha bonke ababekhona endlini.
Yes.
Now that, my lord, was also an indication that someone, because if the DNA is found at the scene and you can exclude everyone who was in the house, there was a donor and we did not know who it was. So that was a second point which I regard as objective because it's not a man-made story. It's objective. It's science, my lord.
futhi ke naloko okwesibili okwangikholela ukuthi ngicabanga ukuthi kwakukhona omunye ngaphandle kwalabo ababekhona endlini ngoba lokho akuyona into engayizwa into engayithola engaphikiseki.
Now, if you say look at the DNA profile, how was this information presented? Where was it contained?
It was contained in the report of a captain. I just forgot his name, but is an analyst, is an expert who did the examination, my lord. So it's contained in his report.
Manje lokho ke ngakuthola umbiko owenziwa omunye ukapteni engasalikhumbula igama lakhe owuchwepheshe.
I just want to show you a document which serves as exhibit X in brackets 11.
Correct,
Are
my
you
lord.
able to recognize this document?
Yes, this is part of the report I'm referring to, my lord. That deals with the DNA comparison of the people who were inside the house by this expert I was referring to.
Yebo lona umbiko oqhathanisa ulibofuzo lalabo bebekhona endlini nolibofuzo ke olutholakala lapha esigqokweni.
And if I can place it on record, my lord, so he documented the name number 1, which is Mthokozi Sithwala, and
Manje ke waveza amagama ke abantu oqesikala ngwele kaMthokozi Sithwala.
and it says the results are that excluded on all samples.
Manje kuyabonakala ukuthi umbiko uthi ukhishiwe kuwo wonke amasampuli.
Kelly Kumalo
Wesibili uKelly Khumalo
excluded on all samples.
uthi naye ke ukhishiwe kuwo wonke amasampuli.
Madlala Tumelo
Utumelo Madlalo landelayo
excluded on all
naye
samples.
ukhishiwe.
Longwe Twala
Ulongwe Thwala
excluded on all
naye
samples.
ukhishiwe kuwo wonke amasampuli.
And then Zandile Kumalo
Futhi kunosandile Khumalo
included on the Smirnoff can, but not on the Smirnoff can.
yena ke ulibofuzo lakhe DNA yakhe yatholakala ekanini leSmirnoff.
Gladness Kumalo
uGladness Khumalo
included on the EF swab and from toilet door handle.
uyena ke uthola ulibofuzo lakhe DNA yakhe itholakala lapha kwihandle noma isibambo lesalapha emnyango.
Yes, that is the essence of it, my lord. So in essence, in the mixed DNA of the head, none of them were red, my lord.
Manje ukubonakala ukuthi ke kule DNA ehlangene iqhuthiwe ebisesigqokweni akekho kulaba ababaliwe okutholakala ukuthi iDNA yakhe noma ulibofuzo lakhe liyatholakala lapha esigqokweni.
Yes, you may continue. Any other factor?
Yes, so that was the second factor. Then the third factor, my lord, I've touched base on it, but I'll go deeper into it, was now the vehicle tracking system of Longwe, because I was able to establish, it's contained in one of the affidavit, that he was driving a red Polo, and then I looked at his vehicle movement to see if he went elsewhere. And what I found, my lord, can I get on?
Yebo okunye ke ukuthi ke ngibheke nokuthi imoto kaLongwe ethwala yalandelelwa i-tracking system ukuthi yabi ngoba kuthiwa hamba ngepolo ebovu kuthiwa ayiyona yahamba yaqonda kwenye indawo.
Now, from the scene, my lord, after it arrived at the scene, it also moved to the clinics, to the hospital. In other words, when his tower, when his cell phone tower and others were picked up at the clinic, that vehicle was there. It was not, for example, at a place where this robbed cell phone was, the Muleleki Tower.
Manje ke kuyabonakala ukuthi ngesikhathi ke beye ekliniki laba abanye ngaleso sikhathi imoto yakhe yabonakala ukuthi ngaleso sikhathi itholakala nayo isekliniki. Okusho ukuthi ayizange ihambe nale cell phone le eyantshontshwa.
Can I carry on?
Yes, I just want to show you the automated vehicle location or the tracker report on a vehicle which currently serves before this court as Exhibit Triple P. And I want you in particular to refer to page 47. At 210409.
Yes, my lord. So at 210409, my lord, the vehicle is picked up at Sam Sikati Avenue, Vosloorus, Gauteng South, South Africa.
Manje ngesikhathi ka-25-10409 imoto lena ibonakala ikumgwaqo usemsikwati eFosloorus.
And it indicates, my lord, that the ignition was switched off.
Kuyakhombisa ngaleso sikhathi ukuthi imoto icinyiwe.
And just place again on record the tracker report is in respect of which vehicle?
It's in respect of a Polo Vivo Volkswagen. That is the vehicle that I know was driven by Mr. Longwetwala, my lord.
Lo mbiko lona ungepolo Vivo Volkswagen imoto eshayelwe uLongwetwala.
You earlier in your evidence referred to the fact that the cell phone records of Mr. Longwetwala also places him at the hospital at a particular time.
That is correct, my lord, and they are in line with where the vehicle was.
But yebo nama-cellphone ayakhombisa ukuthi wayesesibhedlela yini ilapho futhi nemoto ayikho.
I just want to refer you again to the section 205 extract of a cell phone which has been handed in as exhibit triple J1, page 2186.
Correct, my lord, yes, I have it.
At 2105, can you just place the particulars of that cell phone number on record?
Yes, my lord, it's 27 60 080 4043.
Yebo le number i-2760 080 4043.
And then the tower that is being picked up, my lord, is Clinique Vosloorus.
Manje ke ithawa ke equnyana nayo iclinic eFosloorus.
And do you remember who was the user of this phone?
It was Longwetwala, my lord.
Wayesebenzisa le phone kwakuLongwetwala.
Yes. Any other factor?
Yes, my lord. So that was that, my lord. Then the other factor that I looked at, my lord, was the eyewitnesses, not the people who were in the house, because there were questions that we were trying to address.
Abanye ke ofakazi ababezibonele ngamehlo angisho laba bebesendlini.
And that now led me, my lord, to the statements that were disposed of the neighbors, the people who were walking on the street.
Lokho ke kwatholakala embikweni ebekwe kusho ukuthi ke istatement esenziwa ababe omakhelwane nababe semgwaqweni.
For example, my lord, I can, without obviously specifically mentioning what is contained in the statement. For example, the Ngashes, who were the next door neighbors, my lord. Ngashes.
So omunye kusho ukuthi ke i-statement sakwanqashe ababe umakhelwane.
Yes. One of members of the family of Ngashe, Kai Ngashe, has testified as a witness in this matter.
Yes.
Does that name ring a bell?
Yes, it does. It does. He was one of the family members in that the neighbors to the crime scene.
Omunye ke welungu lomndeni wakwanqashe usezile wayezoletha ubufakazi la enkantolo.
Yes.
And my lord, in their statement, it was clear that they saw people running out, my lord. So there was a clear, if you read the statement, in essence, that people were seen running out during that commotion of the shooting from the crime scene.
Kule nqushunqushu ke ukudubula bathi babona abantu bephuma bebaleka.
Yes. Except for the Ngashe family, any other statements of neighbors that you can remember?
Yes, absolutely, my lord. There was one also that I remember, I think two that I came across of, the first name that I remember is Ntabiseng. They were, she's associated with the Department of Correctional Services. They were just sitting opposite the crime scene when this incident happened. And I do recall that in part of that statement, it is clearly mentioned that perpetrators were seen running out of from the direction of the Kelly Kumalo's house to the direction of the park.
Ngiphinda ngikhumbule igama likaNthabiseng okuthiwa uxhumana ne-Department of Correctional Services. Othi babehleli ke kulendlu ebhekene nendawo yobugebengu. Estatementini sabo basho ukuthi nabo babona izelelesi ziphuma zibaleka.
It was two witnesses, my lord. There were two. I do remember that it's two females, and both of them witnessed people running out of that house to the direction of the park.
Kwakufakazi ababili besifazane abasho ukuthi babona izelelesi ziphuma zibaleka.
Ms. Ntabise Mokete testified before this court. Does that name ring a bell?
Yes, it does ring a bell, my lord.
Ngiyakhumbula yini igama likaNthabiseng ngithi wathi yebo ngiyakhumbula.
I can further also, my lord, say while I was looking at that, I just don't recall whether it's Ntabiseng or the other lady, the description of the dreadlocks was mentioned by these witnesses, which was in line with the statements that were made by the people who were inside the house, who said one of the perpetrators had dreadlocks.
Manje ke omunye ke ngisho ukuthi ngiyazi ukuthi yilo munye wayeNthabiseng owaveza ukuthi ke omunye walabantu ababebaleka wayenama dreadlocks okusho ukuthi lokhu kuhambisana nestatement salabo ababesendlini abasho ukuthi omunye waze lezizelelesi waye nama dreadlock.
My lord, I also remember that there was also another statement that I looked at. I think it's one of the neighbors as well, Makhaleni or Mekeleni, who also assisted even in the drawing of the identikit of the second suspect that had a hoodie.
Had a hoodie. Manje ke kuthiwa ke omunye ke ngisakhumbula ukuthi kulesi statement sakhe wathi wakaMakhaleni noMakheleni owasiza ke ukuthi kudwetshwe umfanekiso womunye walezi sililisi lesi wayegqoke leli bhantshi elihambisana nesigqoko ihoodie ngesingisi.
Now, my lord, what I established there is that there was no relationship between the end of the people who were in the house with these neighbors, except that they were neighbors, but there was no reasons I could find that these neighbors will actually lie or be influenced to say they saw people running out of the house or running from that direction to the direction of the park for no reason. In other words, I found credence and reliability in that they were telling the truth in terms of what they saw.
Manje ngibona sengathi ke ubufakazi balabo abomakhelwane buyamukeleka ngoba akunabudlelwane obu phakathi kwalabo ababesendlini nalabo fakazi abebe omakhelwane ababethi bona babona izelelesi zibaleka ziye parkini okusho ukuthi ubufakazi babo buyamukeleka.
Just going to show you an identikit which serves as exhibit BB before this court on the screen.
Yes. So the identikit, my lord, that I'm referring to is the one on the left that was drawn by this neighbor or member of the public, my lord, in terms of describing one of the perpetrators that he saw. That is the suspect with the hoodie on the left on the screen.
manje lapho umfanekiso okhombisa lesi sale lesi esadwetshwa besizwa ilo makhelwane lo ilesi sithombe esingakwesobunxele.
Yes.
Yes, that's the
Thank you. Yes, any other factors?
Yes, my lord. So I then also looked at the first responding officers who attended to this scene. And when I looked at their statements, I also noted that the report they received is that there was a shooting and the perpetrators ran on the direction of the park. Although there was a misunderstanding going to the clinic and back and so forth, my lord, but what was apparently clear that the first reporting that was given to them was the indication that there was a shooting and the perpetrators ran to the direction of the park.
Futhi ke owaqala ngibuke nombiko wamaphoyisa lawo bebokuqala ukuthi baye ukuyobona ukuthi kwenzekani endaweni yesigameko owasho ukuthi ke bathi abakuthola ukuthi kwakukhona ukudubula okwenzeka futhi ke nesilelesi zabaleka ziya ephakini.
Do you remember who these officers are?
My lord, I remember the names Mtetwa and I think Matebula. I remember those two.
Engibakhumbulayo ababili uMthethwa noMathebula.
They've also testified before this court, is it?
That is correct, my lord.
Yebo sebelethe ubufakazi enkantolo na.
Yes, you may continue.
Now, my lord, taking all these facts, that I've mentioned, I could not, I think it would have been a miscarriage of justice to still believe with this fact that no one came into the house. There is no way. So I was convinced that people came into the house, and now the biggest task that was lying ahead was to find these perpetrators, my lord.
Manje ke uma sengibuka konke ke lokhu ngagcina ngifike esinqumeni sokuthi babe khona abantu ababehlasela zazikhona izelelesi ezasingene kulowo muzi ngoba ubufakazi buyakhombisa ukuthi khona abantu ababaleka bephuma endlini.
We'll return to this aspect in a while. If we can just briefly go back to the stage after Brigadier Perumal came on board to oversee the investigation. Were there any meetings convened with interested parties in the matter?
Yes, indeed. Indeed, my lord. Sorry, my lord, if I can just go back, I forgot something that I want to conclude on this part of things that I took into account when I was establishing. I also looked at the statements, obvious of the people who were in the house, my lord, to see as to whether the description that is given is in line with what the members of the public, if I can put it in that context, if it's in line, if what they described inside, insofar as the perpetrators are concerned, is it in line with what you are seeing outside, And I found that it was in line. There may have been small differences, but in essence, two intruders were described, one with dreadlocks, one with a hoodie, tall, slender. So there were similarities, my lord. That's the aspect that I also considered.
Manje ke ngaphinde ngahlola futhi nokuthi ke izitatimende zabantu ababesendlini nalencazelo esayithola kubantu abangaphandle ukuthi yahambisana na ngasengithola ukuthi yebo lezi ncazelo ziyavumelana nanoma ngabe khona ukwehluka okuncane kodwa ukuhambelana ziyahambelana ngoba kukhona ke incazelo ukuthi kwakukhona wayena dreadlocks khona futhi nowayemude ezacile kuyabonakala ukuthi incazelo lezo ziyahambisana.
If you can perhaps once again, if you can refer to Exhibit BB,
yes,
the identikit.
Yes. So, and when I say the description, my lord, I'm referring now this sketch, this identikit, my lord, because people who were in the house, some of them contributed insofar as the drawing of the identikit of the men with the dreadlocks, and added part of the things on the identikit of the men with the hoodie, my lord. So there was that contribution when Warrant Officer Steenkamp threw the identikits.
Warranson kan zodweba ke lama identity la lemfanekiso lena ekhona la phambili kwenkantolo kusho ukuthi ke nalabo bekhona la ngaphakathi endlini nabo baba nomthelela ekuzameni ukusiza ukuthi ke kuphume lemfanekiso le.
Yes, we've already referred to the one with the hoodie.
Yes.
The other identikit.
Yes, this came about as the result of the description given inside the house, my lord. And what is common is the dreadlocks, which was mentioned, as I said, by Tap Singh, for example, that I recall in seeing that in a statement.
Yebo ke lo ogqoke ihoodie lona sesikhulumile ngayo kodwa ke lo omunye ke oma dreadlocks lo mfanekiso lo wenziwe besizwa yilabantu ababesendlini ohambisana ke futhi nobufakazi oba sathola kuNthabiseni.
Yes, thank you. If we can then come to the meeting with stakeholders.
Yes. So after that, my lord, we were then engaged. The Office of the National Commissioner was then engaged by AfriForum. I do remember Advocate Gerinel came on record to say he's got a mandate to represent the family, and he placed a request to meet the investigation team at that time.
Manje ke Office of the National Commissioner ke kushwa ke la tindana nabe AfriForum mayelana nokuphenya kwaleli cala.
No, AfriForum engaged us, and then AfriForum engaged the National Commissioner.
AfriForum yona yakhulumisana nabe national ne-office lika National Commissioner.
Yes. We were then, my lord, under the excuse me, the command of Brigadier Perumal, directed to go and meet them as per the request.
Manje ke i-office lika Brigadier Perumal lathi ke sihambe sokhulumisana na.
I do not recall the date, my lord, but I know it was around March, April 2020, my lord.
Angisakhumbuli ke ukuthi inyanga kokuyi.
Sorry, beg your pardon. March, April 2019, my lord.
Angisakhumbuli ukuthi inyanga kokuyiphi kokuMarch mhlambe ku-April 2019.
Yes, my lord. So we met them, my lord, and indeed they came on board to say they are representing the family. They simply wanted to place themselves on record.
Manje ke bona ke basitshela ukuthi bona bamela umndeni bafuna nje ukuthi izimvo zabo zizwakala.
And there was an understanding that that will be the go-through lines, the reporting lines, and that is the case up to today.
Wathi ke basitshela ukuthi ibona ke esifanele sibike kubona and isimo sinjalo kufikela namhlanje.
If you say there was an understanding that there will be go-through lines, what do you mean?
So it was a lot was discussed, my lord, but at the end of the day, insofar as giving the feedback to the family and the concerns of the family, there was an understanding that since they are now watching brief, they will be the one talking to us, and we will talk to them, and then they will communicate to the family.
Lokhu kuchaza ukuthi ibona abazokhuluma nomndeni bona ke bazobheka konke bese bethinta thina uma sefanele kuyobikwa emndenini sekuyoba yibona abebika emndenini.
Yes.
The issue of the two should I say concept, my lord, of whether people came into the house or not was also raised as a concern to them from them, and they wanted a clarity.
It's fine, we gave them a briefing.
Right.
What happened further?
All right. Now, subsequent to that, my lord, then we carried on, my lord, in now trying to look now for the perpetrators, for the intruders.
sabe ke zama ke ukuthola izelelezi
Was
lezi ezazihlasela.
sorry, is this the only meeting that the only briefing that you had with AfriForum?
No, it wasn't the only one. There were few that came after, but immediately after that one, my lord, there was one that I attended on my own, where the National Commission said I must now deal with them as the lead investigator without Brigadier Perumal, because he was taken off as the coordinator.
Kona umhlangano esaba nawo kuphela nalabantu ekhona eminye imhlangano khona nomhlangano engaya kuona ngingedwa ngoba wayesephumile uBrigadier Peruman kodwa ngani kwa umlayezo ovela ku National Commissioner ukuthi kufanele mina ngiqhumane nabo njengomseshi.
Yes, and I did engage them a lot, so we exchanged a whole lot of information. We worked well, my lord, up to today.
Yebo sasebenzisana kakhulu nokwabelane ngolwazi nabo ukufikela namhlanje.
Now, at what point did Brigadier Perumal leave the team?
My lord, I think it will be late. I can't put a specific date, but my recollection, my lord, it will be late 2019, maybe December there, because his presence, I can plot him in one meeting that took place on the 13th of November 2019. That is, in essence, the last meeting I think he was involved, where we met Constable Zungu. He was present in that meeting.
Manje ke uPerumal yena ukuthi wagcina ukusenza nathi ngo December ka2019 ngoba ngiyakhumbula ukuthi wayekhona emhlanganweni ongomhla ka13 kuNovember lapho khona sasihlangene no Constable Zungu.
Can you tell the court as to what led to this meeting on the 13th of November 2019 with Constable Zungu?
Yes, indeed, my lord. So earlier in the year, I think around that March, mid or June, it could even be around that time, my lord, I received a call from the National Commissioner saying there is an individual there who had information about the perpetrators who were involved in the murder of Senzo Meyiwa.
Ekuqaleni ke konyaka lapho koJune ngathola ke ucingo elivela ku National Commissioner ekuthiwa khona kwakukhona owayethu nomkhondo ngezelelesi ezasihlaseleke kule ndaba kaSenzo Meyiwa.
Which year are you referring to?
I'm referring to 2019, my lord.
Ngikhuluma ngomnyaka ka2019.
Yes.
I then proceeded to the office because when this call was made, I was not at the office.
Ngase ke ngiqhubeka ngeoffice ngoba lelo mangithola lolu cingo ngangingekho eoffice.
And this is where Constable Zungu was then introduced to me for the first time as the person who had this information, my lord.
Mina ngase ngihlangana ke no Constable Zungu okokuqala ngoba kwakuthiwa uyena ke unalolu lwazi mayelana nalomkhondo.
And this Constable Zungu is one of the state witnesses who testified in this matter.
That is correct, my
Kana
lord.
Constable Zungu omunye ofakazi kulolu daba.
Yes.
My lord, yes, after meeting him, he gave me a report that suggested that his father was sort of a direct witness to what he was telling me about. The first reporting of saying, I have information, my father witnessed certain discussion that implicates two individuals, and that is where now the name of accused 1 and 2 came up, but the father was not present.
Manje ke umbiko ngawuthola ukuthi ubaba wakhe wayewufakazi wayeqonde ngo ukuthiwa ke lapho wakwakhuluma lapho wakwaba nenkulumo lapho ke okwathinteka khona amabili babaso.
And where does this meeting take place with Constable Zungu?
At the office of the National Commissioner, my lord, because when I received the call, I asked that they must keep him there I'm on my way. So we met and discussed this at the office of the National Commissioner.
lo mhlangano kwawusehhovisi lika-National Commission ngoba uma ngithola ucingo ngabacela ukuthi-ke bamgcine khona lapho ngize ngifike ngase ngigijimela khona ehhovisi ngiyohlangana naye.
Yes.
My lord, I then told him that I will need to speak to the father to obtain a statement with regard to confirmation of what he was telling me.
Ngase ngimtshela ukuthi ngiyazodinga ukuthi ngikhulume nobaba wakhe ukuze ngithole istatement mayelana nalo lwazi.
My lord, we parted ways with that understanding that he will try to convince his father to come forward so that then the interview and the statement can be obtained. Although he made it clear that it will not be an easy task because it's not how they wanted this thing to be handled, in light of the fact that the people they were mentioning are somehow related to them. So he raised that concern, but I insisted that, look, he's a police officer. He should understand we cannot work on hearsay. So I need something tangible. I need to rely on something.
Manje-ke ngase-ke ngicela ukuthi ngiyohlangana nobaba wakhe ngase ngicela ukuthi akakhulumisane nobaba wakhe ukuthi akwazi ukuthi ngikwazi ukuthi ngiyothola le statement wase ngeke kube lula ngoba bebengathandisisi ukuthi lolu daba luphathwe ngalendlela ngoba abanye ke balabantu abathintekayo abantu abazihlobo zabo ngase ngiyamtshela ukuthi njengephoyisa uyazwisisa kahle ukuthi indaba yokuthi ke kusetshenziswa amahlebezi angeke isebenze uyazi ukuthi ngifanele ngithole istatement kulo muntu okunguyena onalolu lwazi.
My lord, it was also clear that there was a fear of reprisal. In other words, that if this thing is not handled carefully, it was made clear to me that people will lose their lives. So.
Okunye ke kwakunokwesaba ukuthi indlela ephathwa ngayo lolu daba ingaholela ekutheni mhlambe abanye baze balahlekelwe yimpilo zabo.
We parted ways, my lord, with that understanding that I will respect and allow him a chance to try and convince his father. We exchanged numbers. I took his number and also established where he was stationed, which was at that stage under the information he gave me under General Lishabane.
Kusho ukuthi ke ngaleso sikhathi ke sahlukana eshilo ukuthi uzoya ayokhulumisana nobaba wakhe saseke sinikana inamba ngase ngifisa ke nokwazi ke nokuthi usebenza kusiphi station ngase ngithola ke nokuthi usenza ngaphansi kumholi wakhe wayeUlishabane ngaleso sikhathi.
Which police station?
It was a cluster, my lord. So General Shabane was a cluster commander in the North Rand. They called it Northern Tembisa, that area. He was the cluster commander, Major General in charge of that region.
Lishabane kwakuyi-cluster commander kusho ukuthi umkhuzi we-cluster ngaphansi kweTembisa eNorth Rand ngowaye-Major General ngaleso sikhathi.
Yes, he has since retired, my lord.
Okwamanje usethathe umhlala phansi.
Yes.
Now, after that meeting, my lord, there would have been a number of obvious follow-up from my side to try and check how far is he, and it was not really, there was no fruitful outcome between that day up to the 13th of November 2019.
Usho ukuthi ngalandela la ke kaningi ukuzwa ukuthi khona yini intuthuko eyenzekayo kulolu daba esasikhulume ngalo nesicelo sami kodwa ke akubanga na mphumela omuhle ngoutholayo kuyofikela umhla ka-30 kuNovember 2019.
Now, leading to 30 November 2019, my lord, I recall that when I tried to reach him, I was struggling. This is now Constable Zungu. So I ended up, because Brigadier Perumal was still on board, and I said to him, the only lead that I had, which needed to be followed up but still outstanding, is Constable Zungu. So I asked him to accompany me so that we can work together in trying to take the matter forward.
Emva kwaleso sikhathi kwase ngiba ngimzama kaningi ukumthola ngingamtholi ufikela ngize ngicela ke uBrigadier Penman ukuthi ngicela ukuthi angisize ukuthi sizama ukuthola indlela esingamthola ngayo ngoba ngangihluleka impela mina umthola mangizama ukumthola wasigcina ke sengihambisana naye ukuthi siyothola uConstable Zungu.
Now, arrangements were made eventually, my lord, through General Shabane for the first meeting was supposed to be on the 12th, I recall, of November 2019, which did not materialize. It was then postponed to the 13th, and that's where myself and Brigadier Perumal met Constable Zungu.
Manje ke kwagcina sekunomhlangano owamhla 13 kuNovember la mina no Brigadier Perman esahamba sobona uConstable Zungu.
That meeting was fruitful in that, my lord. He did say he managed to convince his father, and we had now to arrange a next meeting where the father will avail himself.
Manje sathola ukuthi ke ayibe kwaba nomphumela omuhle ngoba uthi wayesekwazile ukuthi ke axoxisane nobaba wakhe okwagcina ukuthi sasesibeka usuku la sizohamba sothola istatement esivela kuyise.
Indeed, my lord, on the 17th of November 2019, the father, Constable Zungu, brought the father, who then gave me a statement, and that statement implicated accused 1 and 2. So those names were now in a sworn affidavit for the first time.
Manje ke sagcina ke sikwazile ngomhla 17 November ukuthi sihlangane noyise lapho ke khona esathola ke istatement esagcina siholele ekutheni sikhiphe umsolo wokuqala nomsolo wesibili bafakwe kuleli cala.
And what is the name of Constable Zungu's father?
It's Absalom. I remember the name Absalom Zungu, my lord. His affidavit that I obtained was attached and disclosed to the defense, my lord. I think in my trial within trial evidence I also referred to it.
Ugama lakhe lisikababa kaConstable Zungu ko Absalom Zungu ngoba i-affidavit yakhe nayo iqhunyiwe kule docket.
Yes. So for the first time then, my lord, now we had 2 possible suspects, and this is where, and I dealt with it, I think also in the trial within trial, the cold case analysis around them, meaning now accused 1 and 2 started.
But njengoba si nabasodo ababili ilapho ke saqala khona ke ukuthi siyofunisisa ukuthi bathinteka kanjani.
And that resulted in a number of cases being picked up under accused number 1, which I then took a decision that I'll assign those matters to Sergeant Mohola to investigate those matters, and matters coming out under accused number 2, those matters were then assigned to Sergeant Mohane to say he must look at them while we were focusing on this main case, my lord.
Manje ke kwathi ke kulaba sodo ababili ngacabanga ukuthi ke kukhona amacala amaningi ayevumbuka ngagcina ngiqoke uSergeant Mohula ukuthi ayobheka amacala avumbuka mayelana nomsolo wokuqala kulo wesibili ke umsolo ngabeka uSergeant Mohane ukuthi akube uyena ohlola lamacala avumbukayo.
Yes, we proceed.
My lord, obviously that led to the events that took place on the 30th of May 2020. That is now when accused 1 was arrested for the Tembisa case 217 of 3/2019.
Ilapho ke waholela ukuthi ke ngomhla 20 May 2020 usolo oqala wagcina eboshiwe malana necala izithembisa
Tembisa, yes.
Necala lasethembisa u217 of 3 of 2019.
Can you just maybe explain how did this case docket come to the fore, the Tembisa case 2173 of 2019?
Yes, my lord. So it came about through the cold case analysis. As I've said, when we had sight on them, we did a profiling, and that profiling under cold case analysis kicked out a number of dockets that were unresolved, basically where they were suspects and the matters were not finalized. So we zoom into that matter, and this Tembisa case 217 of 3/2019 was one of the matters where the warrant of arrest was issued on that matter. But I do know that there were also two matters in forced arrest of attempted murder, and there
Yes.
were warrants there also, my lord. So it was cases that came out due to the profiling of the suspects.
Kukhona ke amakhesi ayesebonakala sengathi awalandeleleki kodwa ke sathi ke uma sesibheka lama docket lamaningi akhipha ke ukuthi khona icala elibonakala ngathi ke liyavela la yilo leli cala u case 217 of 2019 elalike liveza ke ukuthi kukhona umkhondo olandelelekayo.
The purpose, really, my lord, also in adopting this strategy was to have them on site, but also try and get things that we didn't have, like DNA, fingerprints that we can compare in this matter. In other words, we deal with them with matters that were already committed or alleged offenses that they've been alleged to have committed, while we look at exhibits or evidence that we can collect from them and deal with it here. And the court would have seen that at some stage DNA were taken and they were comparison and so forth, because we're trying to read them into what we had on the docket.
Manje ke thina ke sase sibheka ke lama case ukuthi kukhona yini esingakuthola kubona okukwaziyo ukuthi kubangenise kulamacala njengoba bese sikhulumile ukuthi khona ukuthi iDNA yathathwa esetshenziswa ukuthi kubheka ukuthi iyatholakala yini kulamanye ama case.
Yes, you may proceed.
Yes, my lord. So like I said, I'm not sure should I deal with now the confession, because
Yes, we can now deal with the events of the 30th of May 2020.
Yes. So now fast tracking to that date, my lord, I received a call from Sergeant Mukula to say his accused one has been arrested in relation to that matter.
Ngolo ke ngathola ke umbiko ovela ku Sergeant Mkhola othi ke umsolo qala wayeseboshiwe boshelwe mayelana nalelo cala.
Which matter?
Tembisa case, the dealing in drugs under Tembisa case 217 of 3/2019.
Wayecala liziyobisi lasethembisa 217 of 5/2019.
And I may also add, my lord, that I was also briefed that in the midst of, I think, the search of him or something around those lines, that there were ammunitions that were found. So in that briefing, I was also told that they also found him with unlicensed ammunition.
Futhi ke kuthiwa ke kulolu phenyo babesolenza ngaye nakuboshwa kwakhe kwakutholakala nezinhlamvu zesibhamu ezatholakala kuyena.
Yes. You've already testified in detail during the trial within a trial
Yes.
as to the events of the 30th of May 2020. But can you maybe just with a broad brush just highlight your evidence regarding the events of the 30th of May 2020?
My lord, what I can then say is that I was informed that they were going to force us to follow up on the other matters against accused one. I then requested them to meet me at the police station so that I can interview him myself with regard to the reporting that I received that he seems to be making some form of admission in relation to this matter before court.
Bathi ke sebembophile ngacela ukuthi abamgcine Fosterus ngoba ngifuna ukuhlangana naye ngoba kukhona engangibona sengathi kungavela ngoba kwakhona ngathi kulezinto ayezamukele zaziveza ukuthi uyathinteka kuleli cala.
My lord, after
Who reported to you that he was making admissions?
it's Sergeant
in this-
Mukula.
Usergeant Mkhulu wangitshela lokho.
Yes.
My lord, after meeting him, obviously one embarked on the formalities in terms of the constitutional rights and so forth. It was clear that indeed he was willing freely, without any duress, to make confession, and subsequent to that, Colonel Mboto was then arranged to assist with the taking down of the confession.
Wakhombisa ukuthi uzimisele ukusebenzisana nathi ukwaholela ekutheni uKenel Mboto aze azothatha istatement sakhe ngoba ekhombisa ukuthi uyafisa ukukhipha istatement engaphoqelelekile.
And that he was in his clear and sober senses, my lord. According to my observations, that's what I saw, and he also told me that he didn't take any intoxicating substances.
Yakhombisa ukuthi wayengazange athathe lutho olungamenza ukuthi mhlambe liyobise isimo sakhe futhi ke wayengaphuzile lutho ngaleso sikhathi.
Yes.
My lord,
Before you arrange with Lieutenant Colonel Mboto, you mentioned that you want him according to his constitutional rights.
that's correct, my lord. Yes, I did.
Yebo ngamtshela ngamalungelo akhe.
Now, what came up in your discussions with him? And where did this discussion take place?
At Phosphorus, he was in a car, my lord, a red Golf, the police car. So that's where I spoke
Wayesengotweni
to him.
ebomvu yesiphoyisa igolf ngalesi sikhathi ngimtshela ngamalungelo akhe.
And what time was it?
My lord, it was after 1900 hours.
Kwakungemuva kwehora lika 7 lantambama.
Yes. And in the trial, within a trial, you explain in detail what constitutional rights you explain to accused number one.
It is correct, my lord.
Athi yebo amalungelo akhe watshelwa ngesikhathi kukhulunywa ngokuqulwa kwecala ngaphakathi kokuqulwa kwelimi.
Did you introduce yourself?
Yes. So
Athi yebo ngazethula.
So first I was introduced when by the member Sergeant Mohola, and then I introduced myself for my after that.
Ngaqala ngethulwa uSergeant Mohola ngase nami ngiyaphinda ngiyazethula.
As you introduce yourself as?
As a police officer, my lord, by showing him my identity card in terms of my rank and who I am, and where I'm stationed, my lord.
Mina ngazethula ngokumkhombisa iID card yami esesiphoyiseni ngizethula njengephoyisa ngase ke ngimtshela ke nerank yami ngase ngimtshela futhi nokuthi ke ngisebenza kusiphi stage.
Yes.
Yes, my lord. So then that led now obviously to the discussion and subsequently Colonel Mboto being arranged for the confession, my lord.
Yiloko ke kwaholela ekutheni sixoxisane nokuthi ke kuze kulungiswe noKolonel Mboto ukuze azothatha istatement.
Can you maybe elaborate more on the discussion? What came up in the discussions?
Well, what came out in the discussion, my lord, prior to now Colonel Mboto coming on board, is that he was implicating himself as being being at the crime scene, but excluding himself as being the perpetrator. I remember his response to say, I was there, but I'm not the shooter, I'm not the one who killed Senzo.
Kusho ukuthi lokwenzeka engakangeniswa uKolonel Mboto lapho ila ekhoma oyakhombisa ukuthi yena wayeqaphelele kulelo cala lapho ke ayavuma khona ukuthi yebo wayekhona endaweni yobugebengu kodwa akuyena owadubula.
But perhaps to put it in the right context or sequence, my lord, one can say before we came to that, it is when, because I warned him twice with the rights, my lord. First I warned him just after I was introduced. Then I asked the members to excuse me, to establish that he can speak to me freely and voluntarily if he was not threatened in any way. Then I warned him, and as I was warning him, I was establishing responses now, the second time, in terms of the lawyer, what does he wants to do? Does he want to speak to me? When I got affirmative that he is willing to freely and speak to me voluntarily, my lord, and he understood the consequences of making confessions if he makes such, I then put it to him that I have a reason to believe that he was involved in the killing of Senzo Meyiwa. And the response I referred to came in that context to say, yes, I was involved, but I'm not the shooter. And he mentioned the names of Marco as the shooter, and I think Makimbi as one of the people who were there.
Lapho ke ngamtshela kabili ngamexwayisa kabili ngamalungelo akhe ila engafuna khona ukuthi azwisise kahle ukuthi ke ufanele akhulume ekhululekile ila ngemtshela khona ngendaba ukuthi uma edinga ummeli angamthola ila futhi ngambuza kwesibili ukuze ngibhale phansi ukuthi utheni uma ephendula mayelana nendaba yamalungelo futhi ke ngamchazela yena ukuthi kwenzekani emva ukuthi ke akhiphe istatement esinjena ila efugcine khona engitshela ukuthi yebo wayekhona kubulalweni kukaSenzo Meyiwa kodwa akuyena wadubula futhi ke wayesechaza ukuthi omunye wayekhona kokuMarco.
My lord, I seem to recall, he referred to Marco and Makimbi Buthelezi. I remember, I seem to recall that names and the surnames being given by him, my lord. I further recall, my lord, that when I established from him as to whether was there anyone that they informed or if anyone knows about what he did, he then said the only person they spoke to was a traditional healer. I think he called him Umkulu, who stays in Pambridge, but it was clear that he doesn't know the address, but he said he is willing to identify the place where this traditional healer is situated.
Ngambuza ukuthi khona yini omunye owaziyo ngalokho asethi cha uma akhuluma naye omunye ke lenyanga lena owayebiza ngokuthi umkhulu and futhi lenyanga yayihlala ePhambridge nanoma engalazi ke engazi ke ukuthi ikhelela la ihlala khona lenyanga iliphi kodwa wavumela ukuthi angasebenzisa nathi ukuze itholakale lenyanga.
I further recall, my lord, that he said also the crime scene, he doesn't know the physical address, but he can identify it, and he was willing freely and voluntarily to identify such a place.
Futhi ngendawo yobugebengu wathi akalazi ikheli layo leyo ndawo kodwa wayesimisele ukuthi angayesikhombisa le ndawo ukuthi ilaphi ekhululekile futhi engaphoqeleleki.
There was also a willingness freely, my lord, without any undue influence for him to make a statement to an independent officer freely and voluntarily, and that led to the confession now that was taken by Colonel Mboto.
And futhi ke wavuma nokuthi ke angasibhalisa istatement ekhululekile engaphoqelelekile ilokho kwaholela ekuthini ke kusetshenziswe uKolonel Mboto ukuthi ke athathe lesi statement.
And I can confirm, my lord, that when I received back the statement, obviously I'm just going ahead, I may have to go back. When I received the said confession document from Colonel Mboto in a day or two, I noted that what he told me was contained in that statement, maybe with more details, more than he told me, but the essence of what he told me was included in that statement.
Manje mase ngithola ke emva kweinsuku ezimbili istatement esasibhalwe uKolonel Mboto ngabona ukuthi lo ayengitshele kona kuyafana naloko ayekubhalise istatement iseke kodwa ke wathi ukwenaba kancane kuloko ayekubhale istatementini.
Yes. In the trial within trial, you've already referred to this statement that was made to Lieutenant Mboto, which served as Exhibit FF before this court.
Correct, my lord, I did refer to it.
But sikhulumile ngalesi statement esikaMboto esifakwe njengo FF umbukiso la enkantolo.
Yes, you may proceed.
So after the confession was taken, my lord, he was brought back to me because I was at the provincial office, and I established that he was still okay, which was in affirmative. I further asked him if he was willing to identify the place where this traditional healer could be found, and he said yes, he was willing to do that. I then
Just a minute.
Oh, my apologies.
So ke emva kwalokho ke emva kokuthi ke lamkelile esevumile icala wathathwa ke ngaleso sikhathi ngangise-ofisi lase-provincial officer la futhi washo khona ukuthi usazimisele ngokuthi ayasikhombisa la ekuhlala khona le nyanga ayikhulume ngayo.
Morales, what time was it?
It was after midnight, my lord.
Kwakungemumva ke kuka-12 wasebusuku.
So I'll say between 12 midnight and 1, because by 1 a.m. we had parted ways, but it was between those times, my lord.
Kwakuphakathi ka-12 no-1 ngoba ngiyazi ukuthi ngo-1 sayahlukana.
Yes.
My lord, when he said yes, he was willing to do that, I then referred him to Sergeant Mahula to say she will come and follow up, that information, and that should he change his mind or require any assistance, be it legal at his expense or state expense, in terms of the rights that I've given him, he should feel free to do so, and we parted ways.
So ngathi kumesethe yebo angasisiza ngaloko ngase ngimdlulisela ke Sergeant Mahula engathi uyena ke ozobheka lokho nokuthi ke uma kuukuthi ke ukhona ke abona sengathi ke angeke safisa ukuqhubeka ngayo mhlambe esefuna ke ungamsiza mayelana nomthetho uvunyelwe ukuthi ke akhululeke asitshele ngaloko.
Now, my lord, on the early evening of the 31st of May 2019, because these discussions started leading to the confession on the 30th, and we parted ways on the early hours of the 31st, just after midnight. Then on the 31st of May 2020, in the early evenings, then I was phoned by Sergeant Mahula to say they found the traditional healer, and we arranged to meet at the provincial office that I was using.
Sergeant Mahula wasengitshela ngomhla 35 1 kuMeyi ukuthi sebagcina nimtholile le nyanga le wekhulunywa ngayo ukuthi izimisele ukuthi singeze sizohlangana provincial office.
Just a minute. And where was the provincial office?
It was in Eraton, my lord. It was the provincial office of the detectives.
Ihhovisi ke la baseshi lalise Eraton ihhovisi lesifunda.
It's still there, still situated there.
Lisekhona lapho namanje.
Yes.
So I then went to the provincial office, my lord, and I was introduced to Mr. Zwane, Lionel Zwane, who was then the alleged traditional healer who would have cleansed.
Just take it one step at a time.
Hayi lapha ke ehhovisi lesifunda ila engahlanganiswa khona ke noZwane okwakuthiwa uyena ke oyinyanga yesintu.
Yes. Who introduced you to Mr. Zwane?
It was the members, Sergeant Mahula, I think I remember Sergeant Mahula introduced me to him, and I also introduced myself. That's the routine, my lord. And I warned him according to his rights, because I was sitting with certain information that that implicates him in having a knowledge about the matter before this court.
Ngethula lapho uSergeant kwakune Sergeant Mahula lapho ngicela ukuthi yena wangethula lapho kodwa nami ngazethula ngase ngimtshela ke ngamalungelo akhe ngoba kwakukhona ke okunye ke okwaku ulwazi enganginalo olwalumfaka kulolu daba.
And Mr. Zwane has also testified before this court, is that correct?
That's correct, Lionel Zwane, my lord.
Manje ke lo baba uZwane uLionel Zwane naye weza wazoba ufakazi kule nkantolo.
Yes, you may proceed.
Now, my lord, while I was interacting with him, I do recall that the SWAT team that was assisting with the escort of members then came in that office with accused number 1. They walked in, unplanned.
Manje ke siselapho ke iSWAT team eyayisiza ke ngokuphelezela yangena nomsola wokuqala ingena nje singayilindele.
Now, an accused 1, my lord, I recall that he was leg ironed and he was cuffed in front as well, my lord.
Angikhumbulayo futhi ukuthi umsola wokuqala wayefake ozankosi futhi efakwe nezinsimbi zasemlenzeni.
Yes, so the handcuff could have been in front or back, but I know that he was cuffed, my lord, and leg irons.
Engikhumbulayo ukuthi wayefakwe ozankosi ngisakhumbula ukuthi bayengaphambili noma ngemuva kodwa engikhumbula impela ukuthi wayefakwe ozankosi efakwe nezinsimbi zasemlenzeni.
Now, when he walked in, my lord, Mr. Zwane, they looked at each other, and I recall Mr. Zwane saying, he said it in Zulu, my lord, I'll try to translate in English, but in Zulu he said, "How mfana kaSibiya waboshwa kangaka kwenze njani?" That was his statement.
I remember that they looked at each other. Ngiyakhumbula ukuthi babhekana besabhekene wayesethi ke lenyanga esithi hawu mfana kaSibiya uboshwa kanjena kwenze njani.
Maybe I will not be able to translate it verbatim or not, but in essence he was shocked, to say, why is he cuffed in this manner, that is the essence of what saying, to say you are arrested, but why in this fashion?
Engikubonayo nje ukuthi wayethuswa ilendlela njengoba ethi umfana kaSibiya waboshwa kangaka kusho ukuthi wayethuswa ilendlela ayiboshwe ngayo.
The response, my lord, from accused 1 was to the extent, insofar as I can recall, that it is that matter we came to cleanse for the killing of Senzo Meyiwa.
Wase ngikhumbulayo ukuthi wathi ile yandaba esasiza sizoyihlela indaba ikaSenzo Meyiwa.
Now approach accused number 1 before we...
Yeah, fine.
Thank you.
Similar to, in any case, just before the long adjournment, maybe we can take the long adjournment at this point.
Okay, 2 o'clock then, eh? Thank you.